Some things that happen in childhood don't frighten you at the time. You don't have the language for it. You don't have the framework. You just file it away somewhere quiet, and it sits there, for years, waiting for you to be old enough to understand what you actually saw. Tonight, 3 people share those memories. None of them have answers. Stay with me. The man who waited at the end of our street. I grew up in Teyote, Indiana. Specific enough that I still remember the street name, Chestnut Mill Road, though I won't say it out loud here. We moved there in the summer of 1994, when I was 7. My mother had just started her second shift at the packaging plant, which meant I walked home from Deming Elementary alone most days. The walk was 11 minutes. I know that because I timed it once with the digital watch my uncle gave me for my birthday. 11 minutes door to door, past the grain store and the fire hydrant someone had painted green, and the big white oak at the bend where Chestnut Mill curved left. That's where he stood. Not every day. Maybe twice a week, starting sometime in September. A man, tall, wearing what I remember as a tan jacket, standing at the bend. Not walking. Just standing, facing in my direction, hands at his sides. He never approached me. Never spoke. He was always maybe 40 feet ahead, and by the time I reached the bend, he'd be gone. I didn't think much of it. Adults stood places. That was a thing adults did. In October, I mentioned him to my mother. Casually. The way kids mention things, over cereal, not looking up. She put her spoon down. She asked me to describe him again. I did. She said nothing. That weekend she walked the route with me. The man wasn't there. She pointed to the bend and asked me to show her exactly where he stood. I showed her. She was quiet for a long time. Then she told me that a man, a specific man, whose name she wouldn't tell me, had gone missing from our neighborhood in 1987. 7 years before we moved there. She didn't explain why she brought it up. She just said, going forward, she'd pick me up herself. She picked me up every day until we moved in March. I'm 36 now. I looked into it last year, the disappearance she was referring to. The man had lived 3 houses from ours. He was 31 when he vanished. Tall. Last seen wearing a tan jacket. I've never found any record of them finding him. And I've spent a long time trying to decide which version of this story frightens me more. The next story was submitted by a parent, and the part that stayed with me isn't what the child saw, but what the child somehow already knew. She called it her downstairs friend. My daughter Emma started talking about her downstairs friend in February of 2019. She was 4. We lived in a split level in Cary, North Carolina, finished basement, guest room down there, nothing unusual. My wife and I both worked from home at that point. The house was always occupied. Emma called him, she specified him, early on, her downstairs friend. She said he was funny. She said he knew her name. When I asked how they talked, she said through the vent in her bedroom floor. The vent connected to the basement vac return. I checked it. Standard 6-inch grate. I pressed my ear to it. Furnace hum. Nothing else. We didn't panic. Kids that age have imaginary friends. The developmental literature is full of it. We wrote it down in her little memory journal my wife kept, filed it under phase, moved on. In March she told us he'd told her a secret. We asked what the secret was. She thought about it, that long, theatrical pause 4-year-olds do, and then said, very seriously, that he told her our old dog's name. We had a dog named Biscuit who died 8 months before Emma was born. We had never told her about Biscuit. There were no photos of him displayed anywhere in the house. I want to be very clear about that. I asked her to say the name again. She said it clearly. Biscuit. My wife left the room. I took Emma downstairs that afternoon and walked her through every room, asking her to show me where her friend was. She kept pointing to the corner behind the water heater. There was nothing there. A concrete wall, a pipe, a dust line on the floor. Except the dust line had been disturbed. A scuff, roughly the width of a shoe. Fresh, the dust around it was still settled in a way that suggested recent movement. I had the basement checked by a contractor 2 days later. No structural issues. No entry points. Nothing. Emma stopped mentioning the friend by May. Just stopped, without any explanation, the way children abandon things. She's 10 now. I asked her about it last year, gently. She looked at me with genuine confusion and said she didn't know what I was talking about. She has no memory of it at all. I think about that scuff mark more than I probably should. That final story came from someone who spent years telling themselves it was nothing, right up until they started asking the wrong questions. Room 4 at Birchwood Lake Camp. I was a camp counselor the summer I turned 19. Birchwood Lake, up near Rhinelander, Wisconsin. 6 weeks, 8 to 10-year-olds, cabins, canoes, the full thing. I'd gone there as a kid myself, so when the offer came, it felt like going home. I was assigned to Cabin C, which housed 8 boys. Room 4, at the back corner, was where we put overflow kids, the late registrants who didn't have bunkmates. It had 1 bed, 1 window, and a smell I attributed to old wood and lake damp. The first week, a boy named Marcus was assigned to room 4. 9 years old, quiet, from Milwaukee. On his 3rd night he came and stood at the edge of my cot at 2 in the morning. Just stood there until I woke up. I asked him what was wrong. He said the woman in his room had been singing. I walked him back. I checked the room, closet, under the bed, window latch. Nothing. I told him it was probably sound carrying from the water. He nodded in that polite way kids nod when they don't believe you. The following week, different kid in room 4. A boy named Tyler. He lasted 2 nights before asking to be moved. He said he kept dreaming about a woman standing at the foot of his bed, and the dreams felt like they were happening while he was awake. I moved him without making a thing of it. I mentioned it to the head counselor, a woman named Diane who'd worked there 12 summers. She listened without expression. Then she said, simply, that room 4 always had that problem. I asked what she meant. She said some of the kids just picked up on the history of the building. I asked what history. She got quiet in a specific way. Not uncomfortable. More like she was measuring how much to give me. She said a woman had worked at the camp a long time ago, kitchen staff, she thought, and had become very attached to the children. She said that woman had died on the property. She didn't say how. I asked if management knew about this. Diane said management was why she was careful about what she said to new counselors. I never pushed further. I wish I had. Because the thing I keep coming back to, the thing I can't place, is that both boys, separately, a week apart, described the same detail without knowing about each other. She was singing. Neither of them could tell me what the song was. But they both said it sounded like something a mother would sing. I drove past the camp's entrance last fall. It's closed now. The sign is still there, just faded. I didn't go in. I don't know what I would have been looking for. 3 memories. 3 things that got filed away in childhood and didn't fully surface until adulthood brought the right kind of quiet. That's the thing about this kind of experience, it doesn't announce itself. It just waits. If something like this happened to you, I'd genuinely like to hear it. Leave it in the comments below, and I do read them. If you want more stories like these, subscribe. New ones arrive every week, and every single one of them was sent in by someone who needed to finally say it out loud. Sleep well tonight. And if you can't, well, you know where to find us.